Hello and welcome to the HomeQuest show, where we give advice to home buyers, but also people who have already bought a home. And today we're going to cover seller concessions, which is, it's definitely probably, well, I guess it could still work on both sides.
It can.
To kind of back up, when I say seller concession, that term can go over a lot of people's heads. And to give it a definition, and Dad, you can correct me, a seller concession is when a seller sets aside money, a lump sum of money, to help someone buy their home, to give them a reason.
A little bit of an incentive. So if you're a seller and you have a home that's been sitting there for a while, and that's normally what happens. They've been sitting for 30 days, 45, 60 days, and you want to sell the home. Sometimes sellers will give a little bit of a incentive to help you with the closing costs, help you with a buy down, help you with something to make it a little more attractive for you to buy.
Yeah. And I think that it's incredibly important to know what's going on in your market. Like here in the Phoenix metro area, we look at the data, and for the last 14 months in a row, over 50% of homes sold have had a seller concession, and the average amount is $10,000.
I don't think a lot of people know that.
No.
You know, if you know that half the people you're making offers on will probably give you a concession if you ask for it, you need to know that. And you need to know what you can do with that to help you buy the house.
And it's typical for right now. So the tough thing is when people look on the news, all they see is record high mortgage interest rates. And it's the hardest time it's ever been before. What the news never captures as that. So
they never say half the people got a concession and they're not paying that high interest rate.
Right. So I wanted to show this graph, if I can switch to it real quick, to kind of give an idea of what you can do with a seller's concession. So again, it's a lump sum of money. And when you're buying a home, there's typically a down payment. If there's a VA loan, not always a down payment. But in general, you have a down payment and then you have closing costs.
Right.
And closing costs are normal fees that you incur buying a home. That's like your taxes, getting your insurance set up.
Appraisals, credit report, HOA, title company, HOA, all that kind of.
These are all normal fees.
Right.
That you have. So I guess seller concessions can be used for one of two things. One, it can be used to help lower the cost to get into the home. And then the other thing it can do is after you're in the home, it can lower your monthly payment.
Right. And it's important to note that some buyers, especially first-time home buyers, don't realize there's more than just the down payment. There's the down payment and the closing costs. And so if a seller is helping you with that closing cost portion, then yes, maybe you only need to come in with a down payment, or you have enough money to cover that and you can reduce the interest rate.
Mm-hmm. For sure, you're going to need the down payment and the closing costs, unless it's a VA loan, not all.
Right.
That's a unique situation. But if you have those two covered, the nice thing with seller concessions is people say, man, I see these interest rates are so high, which means my monthly payments can be high. I don't want to have to deal with that.
Right.
That's where you use the seller concession to basically supplement your monthly payment, to lower how much you're paying per month when you get into the home. So even though interest rates are at, a 7 or 6%, it will feel like it's at a 5 or a 4%.
Right. And there's a number of ways to do that. There's probably 10. Well, there's a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different ways to do that. So depending on your situation, we can look at it. We can customize that for you, give you some examples, and see what works for you best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've got a video where we break down more of that, the lowering your monthly payment and what that looks like and those options. But in general, we wanted to make this video just to make people aware, because the news does not do a good job of it, that seller concessions exist. Over 50% of the deals being done, at least in the Maricopa and Phoenix metro
I've never
area.
seen a local channel come out and say, hey, this is great, nobody's buying, but guess what, you guys, you can buy and get a concession right now. I don't hear that. And you need to know there's opportunities out there.
Yeah. So we'll wrap this up, but in general, I guess the last thing is, if you want to know your options, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help you, and everyone's situation is different, whether they need help on the closing cost side or after.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap this up, and of course, feel free to reach out if you need help.
Thank you.
Start your home quest.